what is the one thing that you would tell yourself to overcome that rejection, that failure, that self-doubt?
You are enough. You were born enough. You were, yeah.
Have you ever wondered if staying true to yourself could be the key to your success? Today I'm chatting with the hilarious and authentic Ellen Acquario, a stand-up comic whose journey is filled with incredible lessons on perseverance, self-acceptance, and turning rejection into success. From gaining popularity on TikTok during the COVID lockdowns to self-publishing her children's book, Be You, Ellen has used her voice and dance moves to inspire others to embrace their true selves and believe you are enough. Get ready to laugh and be inspired by Ellen Acquario as she shares her journey from rejection to social media rock star status and why staying true to yourself is the ultimate win. Ellen, thank you so much for jumping on. I am so excited to have you, not just because you're a social media phenomenon, but at the same time, it's like your journey has been so great, and I'm super excited for you to tell the audience about that and to kind of share your story on all the rejection and failures that you've encountered over your life.
Yeah. I'm, first of all, can I just tell you that you're better looking than I expected?
Thank you. I love that. That's
Your
awesome.
headshot. And I was like, wow, this dude's good looking.
I do-
Like headshots are always a little bit like very corporate feeling,
Sure.
actor headshots. But anyways, kudos to you.
Thank you
for
so
being
much.
a good-looking person.
Thank you. I thought you were referring to my AT-AT. You're like, oh,
that
AT-AT's pretty
too.
cool looking, but no, you're
The
me.
only reason I know what that is my brother was obsessed with the Star Wars stuff. So I actually know that's a Star Wars thing.
Oh,
You were a
see?
Star Wars kid.
Oh, I was an uber Star Wars fan. I was born in
Yeah.
1977, and that's kind of a cool year to be born if you were a Star Wars fan. And so, yeah, I guarantee you I would have named my son Darth had my wife not interjected and said it has to be Dax.
Wow.
I love Star
Thank
Wars.
God for your wife. Oh.
That's brutal. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Kudos to her.
It's so funny, like with as an actor and a model, and with the headshots, people are always, if I ever posted anything, people are like, "Is that really your hair color? Like, are you not gray? Are you not?" And they don't believe the pictures all the time, and especially
Right.
people that I grew up with. They're like, "There's no way you still look like that," or anything. I'm like, "That's the way I
Right.
look." So I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah,
So
I know.
thank
You got no filter on right now. This is the real deal. You look good.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I'm not hitting on you. I'm
Right.
married as well. I can appreciate good looks when I see. Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Thank God I didn't take my rings off.
We'll ring
But
it
yeah.
together. That's awesome. Well, no, that is so funny. But it's funny because you mentioned about being married and with kids, and it's like I wanted to let you know that I speak on when I speak corporate, I talk about going above and beyond. And the
Yeah.
importance about creating an experience for your customer or your employees or for your leaders. And I just wanted to do a huge shout out to you because I'm honored that you sent me your book, Be You, The Adventures of Penguin and Panda. And what I wanted to say is that I always talk about doing that little bit of extra effort. And you are not like a professional like marketer or anything like that, but it really hits home. And I wanted to say that your book, Be You, The Adventures of Penguin and Panda, you wrote a really nice little card to me. And
Oh,
you wrote
yes.
into my book and you mentioned my kids. And
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know that means a lot and it goes a long way and it gains that trust and it makes you referable. And everybody should check your book out, and we'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to give you that shout out right now because I had to return that compliment. But I love it. And so thank you for that. That really does go above and beyond, and I appreciate that.
Oh, that means the world to me because for me, like, I have really just centered myself on the idea that my greatest gift is human connection. I really recognize when I get to meet someone and I have this, you know, of course we all do the pleasantries,
Mm-hmm.
but when you connect with someone on a level that is beyond, if you can break through that surface level early on, I
Mm-hmm.
just think that's what we all live for, to
Well,
know that we're not alone and we have that's what separates us, right, from just any other creation is that we're able to connect on this level. So whenever I can, I am all about that.
well, and you did that. So congratulations. You get a major golf clap for that. And I think that part of my problem is at the age that I am and trying to get onto social media and trying to get into that group, it's very hard for me because I am a connector as well. And I feel like making connections with people and having an actual touch of someone is so much more important. And that's been my barrier to entry within social media because I feel like that relationship that I have with someone should be more about like being able to reach out and actually touch someone and have that effect and like
Oh,
have a real connection. And by you sending a small little note, it really it separates you from the mass, right? And it makes me remember you and it makes me think more about you and want to refer you and collaborate with you and bring you on. So it's like it's a special touch. And I think like you are a social media phenomenon. So I want to hit on that and how you kind of broke into that from your journey. So I would love for you to explain that. But have you ever felt that as well? Like it's hard to, if you have 500,000 followers on Instagram, for example, or TikTok or something like that, how do you reach out to all those people? Because they just know you through social media. They only see your picture, your headshot, and they're like, oh, that's not who she really is. She really is cool. She really is a great mom. She really is a great parent and such. Can you hit on that in your
yeah.
journey?
I feel like the most unconventional content creator that's out there. I don't even call myself an influencer because when people think of the term influencer, I think it's so heavily connected with marketing something, like you're influenced to buy something, be part of this, capitalistic world that we live in. And I'm just not about that. I got on TikTok during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
As there was the original kids TikTok, right? Where everybody thought this was like where kids dance and just goof around. And that's what I believed it to be. And then when COVID happened and there was no stage time for comedians, no going outside and
Right, because they
performing, right?
stopped. You were a comedian. You were like, oh, all of your gigs all of a sudden get stopped, and so now what
Yeah,
are you gonna do?
right. It was complete, and you just felt so alone, especially if you're someone that was used to going out and performing. Um, like now what, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I had so many friends that are saying, just get on TikTok, make your videos. It's different now. People get on there and share stories. And I was like, I don't want to because I had this idea that it was just teens. And I'm like, I don't want to be that loser, old person getting on a
Yeah.
young people's app,
Yeah.
like get on there and be like, get off my lawn. I don't want it's like Facebook. Remember when Facebook was young and hip and cool?
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, my grandparents are on there. So I didn't want to be that person, but I was so desperate for connection
Mm-hmm.
because especially because I was a stay-at-home mom,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and now it's just my kids, and I'm like, oh my god, I need like some adult level talking. What am I gonna do? So that's how I got on TikTok in 2020, and then from there, I did attempt to do dances. That didn't work out so well.
You don't want to see me dance. My kids are so
Yeah.
embarrassed.
I
I
was like,
drop them
this
off
is
at the bus and I'll like start dancing, and they are like, "Oh man, it's
they're like,
brutal."
please stop,
Yeah.
please. And my kids, I would try to make them dance with me, and they're like, this is torture. So I decided, okay. And then I did see people having commentary on what's going on. And I kind of joined in, not with any idea of what it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then every day I just started just talking about my daily life and things that were on my mind. And it really became conversational.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I was never someone that put it out there that my hair was perfectly. I did brush my hair for you today, by the way. Normally I don't. I will go
Okay.
on TikTok and I will roll out of bed and just be like, "You guys, I'm dying today," and that's what it was. I just had no energy
Yeah.
to put on like a different facade,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just started growing, and I honestly did not know what to make of it. Um, and now I'm here. Yeah, it's at a 500,000 followers. I still don't feel like an influencer or
Sure.
a social media person. I just feel like I'm just on there talking my shit.
Have you been out and you're recognized?
Yeah, which is so funny because I don't know how to act. So someone will be like, or so one time I was at this in Portland in a hotel, and there was a coffee station, like you self-serve.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to get to the coffee, but this lady was like kind of hogging it. I was like, man, I'm trying to like, and then she gave me this side eye that was really intense, just like staring. I was like, okay. I took it so offensively. I was like,
Sure.
yeah. So I glared back and I was like, what? And it turns out she's like, are you from TikTok? I'm like, oh my God. I was giving her the dirtiest look and I felt like such an idiot. And I was
Oh,
like, I'm sorry, hi. And once, if they say they recognize, they're like, oh, why do
oh,
you? I I become the biggest fan of them. I'm
sure.
like, you know who I am? How's that possible?
Oh
Yeah.
my
Oh, the
goodness.
best story though.
Yeah.
I went to Portugal,
Okay.
and this lady found out that I was coming to Portugal, that lives in Portugal, and was like, "Can I please meet you?" And I said, "Okay, that's weird. Like you can't just meet a stranger on an
Sure.
international travel. That just sounds like one of those true crime stories. It's gonna go bad, right?" So
So,
I was like,
how
"I
many people
don't
did you
know."
tell? Right? Yeah. I'm going
Yeah,
to meet
I'm
this
like, I'm gonna
person.
have to bring some friends. I'm gonna need some witnesses. Um, but then eventually we met up. The best experience, one of the best experiences of my life. She held my hands and said, "You saved my life," which I know it sounds crazy, right? I was like, and me being me, my
Yeah.
response was, "Shut up!" Like that's so, like you cannot take me seriously. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Don't tell me stuff like that. That's too much. And
Uh-huh.
she's like, no, you don't understand. During 2020, I was spiraling downward. I was feeling so alone. She was also a woman in her 40s, and I just couldn't talk to anyone. I was gaining weight. Not that I'm a fitness influencer or any sort,
Sure.
but you just made me laugh. You made me think about things in a new light. You made me see the world different. You pulled me out of my whatever I was going through, and I cannot be more grateful to you.
Oh,
And
that's
this is
so
like,
heartfelt.
yeah.
Do you still talk to her?
Oh, absolutely. And we like hugged, we
Then give her a
cried.
shout out right now. Who is this?
Maggie from Portugal. I met her husband. She treated us to dinner. It was the most phenomenal. And this is what I mean. I think that my greatest life like gift is connecting with people truly heart to heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing to sell other
Mm-hmm.
than like I just want my life to be meaningful in the people I meet. So,
You want to make a difference in this world, and there doesn't need to be a string attached to that, right? It's like
right.
it's gaining those experiences, and I think you can relate to this. Is that with our kids, you want them to experience the same kind of thing. Like
Yes.
it's so important to be able to show that when you travel, for example, you can meet and connect. You don't have to stay at the resort, and you don't have to do the all inclusive. It's like get out and meet the locals and do the things that
Yeah.
the locals do,
Yeah.
and experience. Some of my favorite memories of traveling. My dad was an international lawyer, and it was like I would travel all the time, and some of the greatest experiences are when the locals would invite us to their home and in their home, right?
Exactly.
And being in Japan, even, it was like being invited into a home is so rare in Japan, and it's like,
Being invited
well,
in.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like those are the experiences I remember. I remember going to Tokyo Disney because I had a season pass, but it was like the experience of staying at a friend's house or to
Yes.
have a special dessert, right? And it's like those experiences are so much more. I have and I cannot remember whose home it was, but they in Japan they used to take this bread. It was like this sweet white bread, and it was like a loaf with it wasn't sliced.
Ooh.
And what they would do
Mm.
is they would take out the innards of it, take it out, and they'd put
Yes.
ice cream, and then they'd put cinnamon,
Yes.
and then they would bake it. And then they'd take it out and put it on a table, and everyone around it was like a giant Jenga thing, and they would eat it. And I've never
dig
done
in.
that again, and it was one of my favorite things I've ever done. So once again,
Exactly.
just an experience.
Yes. Ugh. And that's what stays in your mind. You
Mm-hmm.
forget the little details of where, when, but the people that you make that connection with, that's forever.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. And when you do travel or when you're on TikTok, do people comment on things all the time? Like you talk about rejection or being talked down on comments. How do you get over the positive comments and how do you get over the negative comments? Like, are you made fun of? I mean, you're a comedian, so
Oh,
you can bounce off, and I want to hit on that. But it's like I am sure you're just hit left and right with like, oh, her hair
my
isn't
God.
blonde enough or something like that.
Relentless. It's again, being someone that didn't set out to do this, it's been such a learning curve. And I did not know how bad internet could be or social media could be. Like I was not prepared.
Mhm.
And in the beginning of it, I got trolled so hard. People behind the keyboard, hiding behind the keyboard without putting their face around, and all they do is comment, can be just the worst. You thought you've heard. I mean, I've heard terrible things in my life, but like the depths that they will go when they think that they have anonymity, it's crazy. I think in the first wave of when I started, I was very reactive.
Mhm.
It really upset me. But you know what it was? Sadly, I just got bombarded with so much of it that it kind of numbed me down. And then it became like I also started to sense the language that these are a lot of it was like teens
Mhm.
who just haven't even like left their house yet, right? And you get perspective and you're like, is this worth it's clearly a child,
Sure.
So it took time, but after getting so much of it, you realize, you know what, this is not real.
You
You
were able
start
to
to
step back and objectively see things.
exactly.
But
I took steps back and I was like, okay,
you
what's real?
well, you said like, okay, so you entered this and it was this first wave and you didn't know what to expect, but it's like, you're also experienced in life. You're not a spring chicken, right? And so it's like,
Right.
what would you say to teens who become an influencer or people who want to get into gaming or anything like that, where it's just like left, right, you're getting trolled. Like, what would you suggest to them? Like, just step back and look at it. Like, cause it's hard for a kid. I'm so scared for our kids to get
absolutely.
a phone and thing. Like, what would you tell them to, as an experienced, you keep saying that you're over 40, but let's just call you 39. Like, what would you do? What would you tell them?
I mean, I used to say, I am so thankful that I'm late, right? Like I'm 42. I'm very proud to be 42. I'm so thankful that I got on TikTok when I was 40. Because before, I don't know. I don't know how the kids do it. Honestly, I'm in awe of them. I tell them, like, I don't know how you grew up in this digital era and grew up with it must have changed their brain chemistry. I think I should actually seek advice from them because they grew up with the stuff. And during their developmental years, how crazy is that? As someone that's like, I tell people that I do this with, I'm like, I'm so thankful that I didn't have this stuff when I was growing up because the torment, right? But funny you should say that. I did speak to someone who recently, a friend of a friend asked me to give them advice because they were spiraling. And my biggest advice was, listen, this is not real life. And yes, you can connect, you can take the positives,
Mm-hmm.
you can in real ways connect with people and have, like, I've gotten real friendships out of this. However, the majority um is just noise.
Sure.
You have to find the real among all that, right? And you cannot base your, in my opinion, real life out of this. But then again, I don't even know if that's good advice, because there people are making careers out of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and that becomes their whole thing. So I don't even know, as someone who hasn't made this my whole life, I don't see this like, this isn't the end all be all to me. I'm very detached.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
You're able to
my
remove
advice
it though,
is,
but that's your
yeah,
experience, right? And it's the same
yeah,
with me. Even though I was picked on and bullied and made fun of as a kid all the time, and that felt so at home. What the kids are experiencing now, you and I would never be able to put ourselves in their shoes.
oh
We just
no,
can't. And I
yeah,
love that you say, like, it's like, ask them, because
yeah,
I learn from kids I learn from my kids all the time. My
exactly,
daughter came home and she's like,
exactly,
"Oh, Dad, that's sus." I'm like, "Huh? What are you talking
yeah,
about?" It's like I don't think we ever stop learning, right? Like
exactly,
our school doesn't end the day that we graduate. It's like life is our school. And
yeah,
but to have that experience behind us really does help us detach ourselves.
yes,
And I think I will throw that out to my kids. I'm like, it is not real, but it's hard. She I love 80s movies, and Predator is like one of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. And I I push that
okay,
on our family all the time, and I'm like, and so my daughter's like, "Dad, can I watch Predator?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't think so, not yet." She's 9. And the other day
mm.
she was in bed, and she turns to my wife and she says, "Hey, Dad, when can I watch Predator?" And my
Wait,
wife
which one's Predator? Isn't that an alien movie?
yeah, well,
No.
it's an alien. Well, there's an alien that comes into the jungle, and Schwarzenegger with his military crew takes it on. But it's like this scary hunter in the woods that are hunting down Schwarzenegger and his team, his military team,
Wow. Okay.
and it is scary, right? And
Yeah.
I love it. But she asked, "When can I watch it?" My wife was like, "Never." I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" Because, and then she told me she comes to me and she goes, "Dad, don't worry. I can handle it." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she goes,
Mm,
"I know that it's a guy in a suit. I do know that." And I go,
mm,
"Okay, I can appreciate that. But what you can't appreciate is the sounds and the music
mm.
and the darkness. And that's what's scary, right? It's not it's a guy running around in a suit. But at the same time, it's like the same with the kids being able to detach themselves from
Yeah.
reality. And
Yeah.
I'm still learning from them because I am not a social media person. I am 47, and I feel like I'm getting to the game late, and I had to jump on at the same time. But it's like you hear all the negativity, and it can be brutal. It can break you down, and so I think also possibly with your comedy background, when you get on stage and you get heckled or you got heckled, how would you bounce that off? Like, what kept you talk about being like the rejected from the audience. What did you do to overcome that? Because you can't detach. You're on stage.
Right. I think, I love the water metaphors. I love the thing that calms me the most is the ocean.
Mhm.
Whenever, I don't know why, if I just sit at a beach and look into the ocean,
Is that why you moved to Hawaii half the time?
that's the plan. I hope
Okay.
to. But there's something of not more than anything else, just watching a wave, the way it can roll up and be this most intense thing. And then when it crashes, then there's this calm that comes over. And and then you're like, oh, it has passed. And then, that rhythmic nature of life,
Hmm.
that whatever happens, at least in my life upbringing as well, if you live, you can get back up. Like, I've felt that to my core growing up, being rejected by my parents.
Hmm.
My parents kind of abandoned me in so many different stages of my life in so many different ways. And and there was times when I was a young child that I just didn't want to live. And that's terrifying to think about now that I'm a parent,
Yeah,
to think like, wow, if my child went through that, you just, but I went through that, right?
sure.
And somehow I just kept getting back up. And it's simple as that. So I bombed on stage, as every comic has. And you think this isn't the end though. You just have to keep going. Like there's this thing in my brain that's like, you've been through life. You just keep going. And it's not even that I'm like fighting to do it.
Hmm.
Um, it's almost like if you're alive and you have that breath in you, what else are you gonna do but keep going? It's unless, I fall to the ground like physically the life is out of me, I'm gonna keep going. And I think you don't think about that in that pain. Of course you feel the rejection. It's hard, like
Hmm.
it's painful, it's excruciating, but somehow you're still standing.
Hmm.
So you just keep going. And then that pain subsides and somehow you made it through your set. Was it the best you've done? No. But you hear the claps and you go, okay, I can do better next time. I don't know.
Well, once again, you said it. It's a learning process, right? Like
Yeah,
when if you go for writing a book, for example, you could wait forever to write the perfect book, but
right.
it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be
Exactly.
perfect. I was doing my Audible book that has been on my list forever, and I found 10 mistakes like right away. I was like, oh my gosh, like
Mhm.
how did my editor or my publisher not realize that, right? And it's like it's never going to be perfect. So starting is more important than actually just like
Yes.
waiting and doing that. So it's like even on stage, you're taking the feedback. When I speak on stage, and I deliver a message, it's that automatic feedback that makes the next speech that much better because I can have a better pause. I can have a
Yes.
better hit. I can use nonverbal communication more to really hit home that point. But I wouldn't have known that had I not practiced it 30 times before that, right? And it's like,
Absolutely.
and so I can see that bombing at the very beginning, but it's like that also shows that confidence really isn't a born trait. I believe to my core that confidence is learned through your
Yeah.
experiences. And that's what makes us stronger, being able to get up in front of that. And it's like, as speaking, I love that you're a comic because I've been told so many times, like, I should get up for that open mic and
Hmm.
just do 5-minute routine or 3-minute
Yeah.
routine or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds terrifying. Yet I will speak in front of 1,000 CEOs, right? But it's like
Right.
to get in front of like a comedy club, that's a whole different animal. And I love that you've done that.
You know, and I don't even know what possessed me. A lot of people have these stories of wanting to be a comic. They have comics that they looked up to. I didn't have any of that. I actually got rejected from a radio show. That rejection led me to say, so it was like a competition to get on radio and become like a host.
Hmm.
Because I think it was Brooke and Jubal at the time, and Brooke was going on maternity leave. So I was like, oh, I decided I'm gonna do that. I'm funny. I don't know why. I just
Yeah.
when I heard it on the radio, I was like, why did I do that? I could do it. And so I did it and I got to the final five. And actually my goal was I just want to do things. I wanted to, it wasn't even to get the job. I was like, I want to know what it's like to be on radio.
Sure.
I've never done it. So each of the five contestants would get on radio one day. And that was my goal. Like, I just want to know what that's like. My curiosity got me there.
Hmm.
And I did it. And I thought I did so great. But the feedback was the worst. Like, I had the worst feedback. Oh my God, her voice is like nails on a chalkboard. If you put this woman on, I will never listen to your show ever again. It was horrendous. I actually cried.
Oh no.
Now it's so funny. Now I look back, I'm like, I can't believe I cried over that, but I did. I cried and I was like sulking for 2 days. I was so upset. And then by the third day, I was like, you know what? Obviously, these people just don't get me. And that's not on them. You actually have to feel me in the whole presence. And I thought, what better way than to go on a comedy like stage?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm funny. I need to be felt. And that's how I went to my first open mic and then bombed there. It's just been rejection after rejection after rejection. And then after I bombed there, I was like, okay, clearly I was not prepared because I had all these things I was gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
and I got complete stage fright.
Oh,
I like the lights once I this is crazy. I've never been on stage and I
sure.
decided to go do that. Isn't
Way
that
to
insane?
go. No, it's not insane because I can experience, I can absolutely relate to that. And I know as soon as the lights come on, as soon as the timer comes on, I'm on the same stage with you. Continue.
No, when I was little, I never wanted to go up in front of the class. I wanted them to forget that I was there and skip me. I wanted to be like wallflower so bad, blend in and never be like I didn't want anybody to know my name. And all of a sudden, I decide I need to go on a stage and they will see that I'm funny. So I bombed and I left. But the funny thing was, I said, "Oh, I can't believe I bombed so bad." And then the people that came out, my friends,
Mhm.
were like, "Actually, you didn't bomb." So what happened was, I had all the things that I wanted to say as jokes that I
Mhm.
had prepared, but when I got up there, the lights just like blinded me, and I completely forgot what I was gonna say. Right,
Mhm.
but instead I was just like, okay. I apparently went autopilot and just started talking about random shit, which was still funny, not the things I planned.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and I just didn't know where I was going with it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, time, get off the stage. So, I did get booted off. But they're like, no, but it was stupid funny. So
Well, it's
like, you didn't bomb.
no, you did. Well, and
Yeah.
that's the thing is that a lot of people, well, let's take this. They don't want you to fail. The audience doesn't want you to fail. So that's just one thing. The second thing is they don't know what you're going to say. Like
Exactly.
I can give an entire hour speech, and if I miss one story, they don't know. I do.
Right.
I
Only
do.
you know.
Yeah, only I know. So it's really the only pressure is what I'm putting on myself, right? And
Yeah.
it's not about the audience because they do want you to succeed. And it is that stage fright, but you've overcome it. And I love that because I want to take a step back in the sense that it's like you challenged yourself, and even though you did bomb, you took that challenge and you went forward and you actually did it, right? And I mean that takes a
Yeah.
lot of guts to be able to do. But even though you didn't get on the Jubal show, and I'm from Seattle and I know
So
Jubal,
that's why I mentioned it. Yeah.
yes, and I don't know. One of our past guests on our first episodes is Nina Hajian, and she might have gotten your spot. But the thing is that when you did that, it just opened up another door. It opened
Right.
it actually could have been a blessing in disguise, right? Your no, you took it, and what I always say is I take the no and I flip the letters into on, as in it's time to move on and it's time to get
Yeah.
on a different train. Like I'm going to prove this person wrong. I'm going to prove to myself that I'm right and to prove to the world that I can do it. And that's what you did. You accepted it. It hurt, and then you were like, now what? What do? I have to believe in myself. It opened up a different door, and you went through it and you succeeded.
Yeah.
Like seriously,
Yeah.
Ellen, like you have like taken off, and that never would have happened if you hadn't got. It would have been a completely different trajectory for your life. Maybe you would be on there, but you would be in a different place right now. And to be able to see that objectively is amazing.
No, absolutely. I'm not meant for radio. I
Even-
know that thoroughly.
oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
my face is like expressive. You need to see the face with the cackle to make sense of all this.
Yeah.
You can't just hear the voice. So no, and getting back on stage, I needed to know for myself. I think having that curiosity, I wanted to know what would it be like if I actually did do the jokes that I set out to do. I needed
Mhm.
to know. And I think having that like curiosity sometimes pushes you like, what is it going to be like? I need to know it. I can't just be hypothesizing what it's going to be. I need to experience it. I need to actually know that curiosity, I think, has pushed me
Yes.
do things. And, it's so stupid. I mean, not stupid. It's so silly in a way, but that Nike slogan, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
That has propelled me to get things done. So what if you fall flat on your face? So what? It doesn't come out exactly the way you want it. And so much of doing stand up is that you're never going to hit the jokes exactly. Like, I used to be obsessed with, I wanted to say it in this certain sentence order, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would like mess up the wording and I would beat myself up over it. And I was like, what does it matter? You know? Like you said, the people that are there don't know what you had exactly written down. They're just there to see you,
Mm-hmm.
and they're ready to laugh. It doesn't matter to them what word structure you had in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's only in your own like perfectionist, obsession, and that I've let go,
Mm-hmm.
which actually has opened way more. I think that's another part of
Opportunities.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Letting go of like, those little things that hold you back, that you critique yourself so hard on,
Mm-hmm.
has allowed me to be more free on stage, has allowed me to make progress instead of, like binding
Holding you
myself.
back. Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I wanted to go back really quick because on two things. One is that you had what I call a confidence team. You had your friends that could say you did great, right? And they
Yeah.
believe in you when you got off stage, and you felt like you personally bombed, but people were like, no, you got the laughs. And that really helps to have a
Yeah.
community around people around you that do support you and your greatest cheerleaders. And I think we all need that. You have your husband, you have your kids, you have your friends, and it's like you have your community of other comics. And it's like, that's so important not to be alone, because you're not alone.
Yes.
There's other people who've gone through that. And the second thing is that kind of leads me into your book, because when I got your book, I gave it to my daughter first. And I go, and she's 9, and I go, I want you to read this and I want you to tell me what you think of it and like what the moral of the story is. And she read it and she goes, oh, be you. Be okay with you and be all right with doing whatever I want. If I want a Barbie doll, I can have a Barbie doll. If I don't care what the other kids think. If I want to have wear shorts today versus long pants, it doesn't matter. If I want to go play on the jungle gym, then I can do that. And it's like, I took it and I was like, okay, now I'm going to read it with her. And I went through it, and it was one of the most wonderful stories, because Penguin and Panda are a confidence team, and they're helping everyone realize that it's okay to just do it, to be you, and to be like that. And plus the fact that if I could be any animal, I would be a penguin. Because they walk really cool and they slide. Who else could slide, right? And I loved the story, and I loved that it's about being okay in your own skin and being you, and having that, I call it a trigger, or something, a switch that reminds you it's on from no to on for me. But it's like, just do it is a trigger. It's like, remind yourself, like, I can sit here and not do anything, or I can move forward and I can take that action. And I think you did that with the book, and it's reminding people, it's a great reminder that we're not alone, to have a community or a confidence team around you to help support you, and to be okay with you. And I loved your book, by the way. It's a great children's read.
You know what's funny is the book itself was also, like you said, it went from no to on, because I had publishers that I was talking to, and they wanted me to make changes to the book. They wanted, they had a lot of input, and I tried those changes. And once I did that, I no longer felt like it was me.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that, I decided I don't want to do this with the publisher. I don't want to be told what I should be doing with my words, with my imagery, I wanted to work with my own illustrator. I wanted to work with.
And this is Jermaine Bowman, right?
Yes.
And beautiful illustrator. I'm going to throw this out here really quick. Like,
I
just
found it
super cool.
Yeah. And speaking of, connections, we connected over TikTok.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, I saw his work and I said, "Wow, you do such amazing work." And we formed a friendship, and then once we started talking about my idea for the book, he was like, "I could illustrate that for you." And I said, "Well, it's not your style. The other stuff that he does predominantly is very edgy."
Hmm.
So I was like, "Really? You can make a cute little." And then he showed me some ideas, and I was like, "Wow, we're on the same wavelength." So I decided to self-publish,
Hmm.
and I think there's a little bit of stigma with people and self-publishing, right? Because when you have a publisher backing you, I guess there's more this validation that
Hmm.
you're, I don't know, more real in what you produce.
Hmm.
But I decided, I want the biggest thing was this book was a gift to my children. And I wanted to give it to them while they were still children, my
Hmm.
children. But if I went with the publisher, it dawned on me I probably wouldn't get this out to them until they were like, 16 or something. And by then it would be so far out of their reach
Hmm.
in terms of the language and what message I wanted them to have now. So I just I decided, you know what? I don't need a publisher. I can do this myself. And I just pummeled my way forward in my own way. And so um I feel like that's been the story of my life. Just find your own way and do it. And let nobody stop you, because if you want to get things done, you're just gonna have to do it your own way, you
Oh,
know?
I love that. I mean, that takes me back so much, and I just want to hit on the publishing idea of a book. It's like when they have so much more control over books, and it is a stigma. Like for acting, for example, if you're not from LA or New York, you're not an A
Yeah,
model. You're
exactly.
not an A
Exactly.
actor. And it's like you could have the same message, and I can be in Seattle and I can work in LA, and I can nab that SAG commercial just as much as the kid from LA, but everybody associates the LA actor or model as better. And
Absolutely.
it's like,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. It's like my message is just as valuable. And that stigma is hard to break through. But I'm telling you, you did a phenomenal job with this book. And it's a starting point. And I know that you left it cliffhanging at the end. So I do want to see a sequel in the future of Penguin and Panda for sure. If you were to say to our audience that you met yourself, your past self, way back when, and let's say, for example, you got on an airplane and you sat down and your past self was there, what is the one thing that you would tell yourself to overcome that rejection, that failure, that self-doubt?
Um, you are enough. You were born enough. You were, yeah, because I wish someone had told me that. And I try to tell my kids that every day. Oh, I don't know why the way you asked me that question hit me so hard. That's what I wish I'd been told. I think if I had that, I guess I do have it. I do believe it, but it's been a fight to believe it. I feel like I've worked so hard to validate myself to believe that I am. Um, but I think when we're born, there's nobody else in this world like you or me. There's just one of us, even twins, right?
Mhm.
Like, even though they're identical, they're their own person. And there's something very magical about that. You were created to be this one individual that nobody else can be. And for that alone, you're enough. You don't have to look for approval. You were born enough. So I think that's what I would tell my younger self.
Oh, you
I'm
are
sorry.
enough.
I
No.
laugh and I
Oh
cry. I
my
go through
goodness.
the
No, I
whole,
love that.
I
That's
go through
from the
everything.
heart. You talk about authentic self. That's it. And I couldn't agree more, Ellen. That's fantastic. But you and I have several common connections and friends, and they believe in you. And we have connected, and I believe in you, and you are enough. And I know that the story that you tell here and the way that you act with your kids and the way that you want to parent and be more than what your parents were for you, you are enough. And you have got it going on. And I am proud to know you and get to know you and to continue this relationship, because I want to get to know you even more. And I know that you are making a difference in this world, whether you're making people laugh or cry like you just did, and you hit home.
I can't believe I got this real with you and we haven't even met.
Well, I love it. And we will do it again. I promise you. Where can people find you now if they want to know more about you and become another number that is following you and can reach out? Because I know that you do reach out to people and you actually do interact with people, which is
I do.
You stand out.
I love communicating with people so people can write to me. I have my own website, which is just my name, EllenAquario.com, ELLENACUARIO. The things that I'm really excited about right now, well, I am on TikTok, again, with the same name. I go by there also, You're Funny Unni. Unni in Korean is like an older sibling, older sister that kind of like, has some wisdom words for you while being funny. So you can find me on TikTok on the daily, just shooting the breeze about my life. And I also have a podcast myself with a girlfriend, Korean American girlfriend, called Reply YC.
Reply
where we
YC.
just talk about being two Korean American. Yeah. The YC is for 여친, which in Korean is a shortened slang for 여자친구, which is girlfriend. So Reply YC is, you can write to us, tell us what you're wondering, thinking about Korean American moms who, if that's what you relate to, then we can answer your questions and we get together. And it's again, this is about it's one of my really good friends. And how you get so busy in life, it's hard to make time.
Yes.
And this podcast forces us to get together and we have our real girl time on air with each other, and then we share it. And then the children's book is one of my most
where can they be you?
On my website.
Okay.
It's and I handwrite each of the notes in the book.
Oh, so now I'm not special. I thought I was that special. That's
great. One of my big things. I love to dedicate to the reader. So, I didn't want to sell it through Amazon. I wanted this to be a gift from me to whoever's interested in reading the book. So, I like the idea of it's okay to live small. I mean, you don't have to be this massive thing to have success and validation. You can create these human small connections, person to person, and still find real riches in life.
Values,
that really
experiences.
Fulfill you.
Yeah. Wow. And I love the book. I love your story. I love your message. And I hope that the best for your kids and moving forward and all of the moving, I guess I want you to gain so much in life and know that you are enough, because you really are. And you opened up, and girl, you rocked it today. And thank you so much for being a guest on here.
You.
Thank you for making your introduction with me. And I look forward to getting to know you better. Okay.
Well, if you're ever in town, just let me know, and I will host you and your family to a Korean barbecue dinner at my house.
Bibimbap? Is it bibimbap?
No, we're going to grill meats on the table
perfect.
and lettuce wraps, and it's going to be amazing.
I love that. You don't invite me. See, living in Japan, it was so funny. You ask an American, like, hey, come on over. You can hang out anytime. And there are people, they are like, oh, yeah. They never take you up on it. But the Japanese do. Anyone I ever invited over from Japan, they would always come over. And I was like, they're real. Yeah. And so we are that family. So unfortunately, we're going to head over.
And our kids are around the same age. They can have the time of their lives together while we eat and drink and be merry.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope that you have a wonderful day, okay? And thank
you for having me. This was such a pleasure.
Oh, you are enough, and I'm going to take that. I love it. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Navigating No. I hope you found today's conversation just as inspiring and insightful as I did. Since this is a brand new podcast, we'd love your help to make it even better. So, if you enjoyed this episode, we would love to hear your feedback. And if you think someone else could benefit from hearing it, please share it and help us spread optimism and positivity. We release a new interview every Monday, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening.